T-Rex, the deadliest dinosaur that ever existed. If you ask almost any kid on the planet, who's your favorite dinosaur? I bet you'll hear T-Rex for an answer. Magnificent, grand, and bloodthirsty, Tyrannosauruses fascinate humans worldwide to this day, despite the fact that its bones have been in the ground for more than 65 million years. Undoubtedly, T-Rex is one of the most famous dinos that ever existed on this planet. It was first found back in 1900 in the States, and the enormous bones of this ancient predator just shocked the scientists. As further studies have shown, T-Rex was an apex predator, a horrible monster for everyone who lived on the planet alongside this excellent killing machine. That may sound weird, but this reptile was not the biggest threat of the Cretaceous geological period. However, the T-Rex compensated for its slightly smaller size with many much cooler things. The lovely Tyrannosaurus had a sharp sense of sight, a better sense of smell, and other features that made T-Rex worth its noble name, the king of dinosaurs. What the Tyrannosaurus looked like? The T-Rex was one of the biggest land carnivores in the history of all the animal kingdom. But like with all events that took place more than 65 million years ago, the T-Rex's exact appearance is the subject of much discussion. What we can say for sure is the T-Rexes were extremely massive. The size of the found bones indicate that a typical Tyrannosaurus was about 33 feet, 10 meters high, and weighed about 5 tons. However, it is not rare when scientists discover the bones of these theropods that were even more massive. One of the found skeletons of a T-Rex named Scotty allegedly belonged to an animal that was about 42.6 feet, 13 meters tall, and weighed a little less than 9 tons. As for the looks, these theropods were as attractive as other reptiles at that time. Big head, with a strong neck, long and heavy tail, and of course, famous short hands that probably were a vestigial organ. Some scientists also believe that Tyrannosauruses might have filamentous feathering and even lips, but that's not known for sure. T-Rex had a big skull. The biggest one that was found is about 4.9 feet, 1.5 meters long. It had excellent, very sharp binocular vision with depth perception which was 13 times better than humans. A pretty good advantage over other big predators and prey, in our opinion. Another amazing feature that Tyrannosauruses had was an acute sense of smell. This ability helped it to locate prey that was very far away. As a whole, T-Rex was a perfect predator that cast fear on every animal that lived with it on the planet. Where T-Rexes lived their lives? Tyrannosauruses lived in the times when our planet looked pretty different from what we have today. The species existed in the last part of the Cretaceous geological period, 70 to 66 million years ago. The continents were much closer to each other at that time, and the weather on Earth was a lot warmer. It helped T-Rexes to live comfortably in areas that are rather cold today. Tyrannosauruses were widely distributed on the territories of the western part of North America. Its bones were found everywhere, on the long way from British Columbia in Canada to Texas and New Mexico in the USA. A prominent place where many T-Rexes lived was at Lance Formation in Wyoming, USA. It was a coastal territory back then, with a warm and pleasant climate, similar to the one we have now near the Gulf of Mexico. Definitely a great place to live a nice life and kill defenseless creatures. A T-Rex's menu. There are many speculations about T-Rex's menu and preferences. Some scientists believe that Tyrannosaurus was a great hunter, some insist it was a scavenger, and the third group says that it could be both. There's no one consensus on the matter. Nevertheless, we know that T-Rex's favorite meals were its brothers, dinosaurs, ceratopsians, and ornithopods. It hunted and bit them to death. It is possible that Tyrannosauruses occupied different ecological niches within one group or even entire species. For example, bigger and stronger ones could eat carrion, which they took away from smaller and weaker members of the T-Rex family. Also, if they didn't have a friendly herbivore nearby, it's believed that some T-Rexes could eat each other. It's not clear yet, but many bones of Tyrannosauruses were found with suspicious teeth marks that could belong to their own species. Maybe it was battle marks due to intraspecific competition, but it could be that these theropods just ate each other like crazy. What we know about their behavior. Dinosaurs lived a very long time ago, and we only have the bones that can speak to us, and they can tell very little about the behavior of any species, as you can imagine. The only members of the extended dinosaur family left today are crocodiles, birds, and some small reptiles. They are third cousins to real dinosaurs, and we can't reconstruct behavioral characteristics of Tyrannosauruses based on its modern descendants. So, we're left with guessing and second-hand information, like studying skulls. What do the skulls tell us? Well, we can say the T-Rex had a big brain, bigger than other theropods. It can indicate that Tyrannosauruses were capable of maintaining social relationships and even going hunting together. Some scientists believe that in the later stages of their evolution, T-Rexes could participate in cooperative hunting. It can be a sign of complicated social behavior between the members of a group. However, as you may remember, we mentioned earlier a possibility of cannibalism among the T-Rexes. This can indicate another trait of the species, a really aggressive nature. Maybe they competed within the species, just for lovers and food, or maybe they were loners that killed everyone who looked slightly like them. Other enormous dinosaurs versus T-Rex. T-Rex wasn't the only magnificent giant that walked on the earth and terrorized other dinosaurs. Two massive members of the extended theropoda family, Spinosaurus and Gigantosaurus, can compete with our dear friend T-Rex on this field. Both of them lived in a different time period than our beloved T-Rex, but if they crossed paths, it would have been epic. Spinosaurus. Mighty and frightening, the Spinosaurus was much bigger than a typical T-Rex. It was a 52 feet, 16 meter long theropod that weighed up to 16 tons. That's a huge enemy to conquer. This monstrosity of a creature lived 30 million years prior to Tyrannosauruses in the Cretaceous period. The Spinosaurus was much more primitive than T-Rexes. It predominantly ate fish and was a good hunter on small prey. Spinosaurus had good hands, but its teeth were poorly adapted to biting into flesh. In addition, it had long neural spines growing from their back vertebrae, which would have made them an easy target for a Tyrannosaurus. So, if you ever go to see a Spinosaurus versus T-Rex fight, who knows where technology will lead us, we would advise you to bet your hard-earned money on a T-Rex, because it looks like it'll win. Gigantosaurus. This fella was also a bigger boy than T-Rex. It was about 39 to 42 feet, 19 to 30 meters long, and weighed a lot more than our favorite theropod, about 8 tons. Gigantosauruses lived way before the first Tyrannosauruses, in the Cenomanian age, more than 97 million years ago. This theropod also hunted ornithopods, but it chose only the easiest prey. T-Rex, on the other hand, attacked well-protected and strong dinosaurs like Triceratops or Ankylosaurus. Tyrannosauruses were much smarter, faster and stronger than Gigantosauruses. Even the bite pressure of T-Rex was greater than Gigantosauruses, 50 kN versus 30 kN. Well, considering all we've learned about Gigantosaurus, we can see that it had no chances against the T-Rex. This younger, more advanced and powerful dino would easily kick the face of his grandpa Gigantosaurus. Not with its hands, though. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel, and I also recommend you to hit the bell button, so you'll receive notifications every time I upload a new video. Thank you very much.